here in the UK. The BBC has learned that the government is planning to increase the amount of money it raises in inheritance tax at the budget. It is not known how many people are likely to end up paying more, nor how much more they would pay. Inheritance tax is charged at 40% on the property, money and possessions of somebody who has died above the £325,000 threshold. It raises about £7 billion a year for the government. Around 4% of deaths in the UK result in an inheritance tax charge. Well, we can now speak to our political correspondent, Ben Wright. Thank you for joining us on the programme, Ben. So just help us understand what the BBC has learned around this issue ahead of the budget.
We've learned that the Chancellor plans to raise more money via inheritance tax. And I don't think it's a big surprise, frankly, because the government, well, Labour in its manifesto, ruled out raising the three big taxes that could provide it with very useful revenue: VAT, income tax, national insurance, although of course there is a question mark over the employer's contribution national insurance element to that, and whether or not that's something the Chancellor is going to do. Strong hints she will change that. But therefore she's left looking at other smaller taxes to try and raise money. And we know that she needs billions of pounds extra a year to try and balance the books and avoid austerity, which is her stated aim with this budget. So this complex tax, which raises and stirs up strong emotions, both by proponents of inheritance tax and opponents of it, is going to be looked at. But we don't know yet which of the reliefs and allowances she may be tempted to tinker with. But there is the potential, clearly, to raise quite a bit more money. As you say, at the moment, the Treasury receives about £7 billion a year through inheritance tax. That's a tiny amount, really, considering the £800 billion of tax revenue the Treasury gets every year. Fewer than 1 in 20 estates at the moment pay inheritance tax. So at a time when many assets are rising in value, in particular houses, of course, and there is a big generational transfer of wealth underway from the baby boomers to their children and grandchildren, you can see why people in the Treasury think this could be a good source of money to try and tap. But it will be controversial.
Yes, it will be controversial, Ben. Just talk us through what the likely political fallout from such a decision could be.
Depends how it's done. I mean, the Conservatives haven't waited for the budget to attack this idea, and I mean, they've long-standing opponents of trying to raise more money through inheritance tax. They just think it's sort of unfair, and that people should have the right to pass on as much money as possible to their descendants. So they've already got in and said that this is unfair. But I think it depends what actually happens and the argument that the Chancellor makes about the decisions that she takes, and of course that applies to the whole of this budget. But you know, she has warned many times that there are difficult choices to make, and as I say, I think quite a few people, tax experts, think tanks, have thought for some time that this is an area fiendishly complicated in the way that it currently operates, and that doesn't produce very much revenue for the Treasury. Could be ripe for an attack by the Treasury, or a source of further money.
And Ben, of course, we're focusing on inheritance tax at the moment, but really this budget is being seen as a crucial moment for the government that only came into office in July.
It'll be the defining moment, I think, and it will set the course for the next 4.5, 5 years of this government. I mean, they have said endlessly that the inheritance is grisly, and in terms of the public finances, I think the plans they were bequeathed by the previous government are extraordinarily hard. Add into that the overspend that the government has discovered in various departmental budgets, the fact that they've settled pay disputes across the public sector, and there are really big, difficult choices to make, both about public spending, tax and borrowing. And it will be, the choices that she makes will, without a doubt, define certainly the first half, I think, of this new government.
Thank you very much. That's our political correspondent there, Ben Wright.